podcast is sponsored by Black Ops Agency, where they help me and Andy to take our Unfiltered Naked Truth to the next level by professional audio engineering, video editing, and actually coaching on set. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They also are doing, they're putting the shorts together, and we're seeing hundreds, if not thousands of views every week based on snippets that they're pulling out of it. So they're pulling
started it, and they're doing a fantastic job by helping us because you and I, we don't know nothing.
Yeah, we definitely, I don't know anything. But these guys, like seriously, when they sent it over to me, like one snippet had 2,000 views, one had 1,300 views.
For rookies like you and I, it's good.
Yeah, and their professionalism is the only reason that this is going as live as it is. Yeah.
If you're listening this or watching, if you need somebody to help you, Black Ops Agency.
We have some disclaimers again today because we've gotten in trouble for saying bleep and bleep and bleep bleep and bleep light and bleep bleep bleep. Oh, and I have different colored shirts other than orange. Yes, Bailey, I wore this for you. And we thank you for being here, and we appreciate all the trolls out there that are making shit up out of nothing. And today, this video, what am I talking about? Podcast, holy shit.
You forgot.
I did.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
It is brought to you by Black Ops Agency. Video, marketing, production. You need to do a podcast. You need to come see these people here at Black Ops Agency. They are the best. They have the best systems. They have professional equipment, and they make me look presentable.
They make us look good.
All right, Rami, high five, baby. We're back.
We are back. It's
what are we
Friday.
Talking about
We're
today?
Friday. I told you we're going to talk about crisis. How we're going to deal with crisis, because I had some crisis going on last week, and it's still a little bit going on, but we're going to get to it. But how are we going to deal with crisis and act and manage and think and all that, how that's going to happen? And you have a lot of experience with that with your clients, that you've been in it with them. A lot of them you're coaching right now that they face crisis, like a financial in business or personal or family business, all that stuff. What can we do when we hear that news that it says, oh God, what I'm going to do now?
Oh, like 2/3 of America, just quit. Go do something else.
They're not going to. Yeah.
I'm just bleeping with you. Okay, so no quitting, no, hell no. It's hard. Crisis is hard. Look, if all y'all have never been in crisis in your business, you really haven't owned a business. Because every business owner that I've ever talked to, including those that have made billions and billions of dollars, they have went through crisis. They have been through bankruptcy. They have been through firing all their people. They have been through cash crunch. They have been through, you name it, everybody's been through it.
But they don't know how to react to it. Like, I faced some crisis last week, and I hope I'm in tell of it, but I called you and you gave me some advice and you said, do this, do that. And I'm going to start doing it. It's getting better. And the bottom line is you told me, move your butt and take action.
Yes, that is the first thing. The other, let's take another step back. The hardest thing about any mentor's role, any coach's role, consultant is this little word called the truth. And it's hard for all of us. It's hard for me. When I make mistakes, it's hard to tell other people.
You mean that being honest with yourself?
Yeah, well, being honest with yourself, but being honest with those around you, because nobody can help anybody in crisis without knowing data, right? Emotionally,
yeah.
I could, what is that cliche? Misery likes company.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, and then they'll just commiserate with you. But the first thing in crisis is open and honest dialogue. No judgment, no shame, no guilt.
But you hear that all the time. You go to people that you ask them for help. Some, not you, they say, hey, Andy, be patient. Everything's going to be okay. Have faith and all is going to be good. But that's not going to do anything.
No.
It's good to hear that, but what is the bottom line?
the bottom line is you have to do something differently.
Yep.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting another result. I've never met a business owner that's patient. Not one. There's not one like, oh yeah, I'll just wait for it to come. I'll just wait for everything to play out. No, let's gab data. First thing that we have to do is we have to realize that there's a human talking to us. We have to take the human back to, this is a hell of a lesson. This is not a failure. This is not it is a problem, but it's not, we can't define everything we've done based on this, right? That's the first thing we have to do. We have to take them to a place of getting their emotions out. So we call it a BMW session, right? Remember that? Bitch,
Yep.
moan, whine. Let's get it out. Let's get it all on the table. No one can see a different outline, a different result, a different anything when they're stuck in the middle of crisis, because crisis hurts. Family, friends, divorce, partners, financial, team members, all of that stuff. It hurts, right? Because it's personal. We have to take the human person and bring them back to, look, I understand. Oh, by the way, I probably starred in that movie a couple of times. But many times business owners define their life based on the moment they're in. We have to take them out of it. It goes to that a negative mind is not open to anything. Telling somebody that you need to have an open mind, telling somebody that they need to look at things differently immediately causes the reverse reaction. They close their mind off. Like, how would you know? It's taking them to a place where they actually can look at the problem logically, not emotionally, right? That's the first thing you have to do.
Basically, what you're telling me, take your emotions out of the equation and think logically and realistically and see where you at by looking at the data. Like I told you last week, and you said, look at this data, send me this data, and I sent you the data. And then today you said, oh, can you do me a favor, not do that again? And that was true. And I said, okay, we're gonna cut that. How about this? Is that being open? Because as you said, business owners, one thing, they don't want to show vulnerability and say, oh, I'm suffering, I have pain. But if you don't tell me your pain, I can help you.
Right. And it's not, again, the pain is the data, right? The pain is the data going into it. When we see data, business is math, business is people, right? That's our motto with it. So we had a little hiccup. That's what I call them. I call them hiccups. You've already burned the boats. You're not quitting. You've never quit. Most business owners I know, there's a lot of them that quit. There's a lot of them that don't quit. But in this instance, we have to allow the human first to, okay, let's get it all out. Let's get all the emotions out. Great. Okay, we have that. Now let's look at data. Let's look at the data objectively, because at the height of laughter is the height of learning, but it's also like, okay, the data is the data. How do we need to, if you're talking financial crisis, how do we change the numbers? How do we do that? So I will use an incident, 2012, I think it was like 2012. I wasn't focused on the numbers of my clients. I was focused on the things they wanted to talk about, which were team problems and software problems and things like that. But I didn't focus on their numbers. So I lost a bunch of clients. In fact, I lost all of them in 1 month, 30 days. I lost them all but one.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. You want to know why? Because every time somebody quit, I took it personally, and I didn't deal with the issue of not doing my job. And it kept going and kept going and kept going. And then my energy just kept, you're as an owner, we can only be upbeat for so long. And our energy, our aura starts showing, and then other clients see it. So in this instance, I didn't do my job. So when you look at that, then we started when I internally looked at it and got some help, guidance from my coach to be like, here's what you need to do. Look at this data, look at this data, look at this data, look at the process. And once I looked at the process, I realized I was missing a key part of the process. So in financial crisis, part of the process is having numbers by the 10th of every month, right? Being able to disseminate what profit is, what net profit is, net income, what gross profit is, and being able to mathematically equate that back to our pricing, right? We have to mathematically bring it back to here's our pricing of a product. And if we're in crises, in financial crises, there's usually one of two culprits. One, we're not charging enough and there's not enough GP or net income or profit at the end of the day, or we're spending too much, or a combination of both. So we have to look at those. We have to do the math first because the math won't lie to us. And then once we get to the mathematical equation in financial crisis, we can start determining. Simple question or simple equation I did this week with another client. He was charging $55 an hour. He had a hard cost of $54.39. Couldn't understand why he wasn't making any money. It wasn't because he didn't know. It's because he hadn't done the math. He hadn't been taught that lesson. It happens to all of us because we're like, oh, I got to make a sale. Got to make another sale. Oh, this seems reasonable. I'm only paying $20-some an hour, blah, blah, blah.
They're just winging it.
They're just winging it. So in financial crisis, we have to do the math. We have to do the math to bring us back to the reality. We have to do some cuts. We have to make some hard decisions. Personally, I've seen it, layoffs, right? You have to do layoffs. That's a hard one because people matter. Your people are your highest cost in any business, but they're also the most valuable. So you gotta really weigh that one. Next thing you guys have to look at is other costs, other expenses that aren't bringing any ROI to the business. Some of those can be automotive expense. Some of those can be food and meals. Some of those can be not getting a bid on your insurance every year. Like every insurance person that's watching this right now is freaking out because this is a check the checker. Every year you should get a bid on your insurance from your existing agent and from others, because if you don't, they're just getting a pay increase every year. So you got to look at those, every cost. And I could go line item by line item in a P&L, but we have to look at every line item on that to look at what are our overhead costs, salaries, payroll, overpaying yourself. We see a lot of business owners today that they use it as their personal checkbook, where in a business for financial crises, they're like, oh, I wanted a new boat, so I went and bought a new boat. Oh, I wanted a new motor. I wanted new tires. I wanted new rims. I wanted X. I wanted Y. And they just start, well, it's my God-given right. It's my business. Well, yes and no. That's just a misunderstanding of what your tax liability is, because if you're spending the money in the moment, we call that a checkbook business. So we have to look at all those areas. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So we want to look at it. And it's bleeping hard.
It's brutal. It's hard. I had to do it. I did it. I'm still doing it and go through line by line. And at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do to survive and make it. But some people, you mentioned layoff, I had to do one and they take it personally. It's not personal.
No, it's business.
It's really business. We love people. You love people. I love people. But if I were their shoe, yes, I would get mad and everything else. But if you look at it carefully, is a matter of business.
Yeah, but let's look at the other side of the coin. This is what partners, family members.
It's harder.
It's way harder. But also people that we're loyal to. If you're not doing your job, really doing your job, not this, I punched the clock and I'm here. No. Hitting your standards, hitting your KPIs or, key performance indicator, the results, hitting your KAIs, your key activities. What are you doing daily? If people are doing those things, then you can tell value proposition, right? You can be like, okay, this person, you can tie the work they do to a value in your pricing, in your profit. You can tie it to it. Nobody likes I shouldn't say that. Most people don't like firing people or laying people off, but there are a few out there. We must look at it objectively and go, okay, what value does this employee bring? And can that be absorbed by others? And if you look at Jack Welch, when he took over GE,
yep,
and he wrote the book Winning, he had a philosophy as the bottom three, and I'm just going to speak on the sales side of it. The bottom three people or bottom three salespeople every year were fired. right? Maybe I'm probably paraphrasing, and somebody online will comment, and I don't have it exactly right, but he had a philosophy of you're at the bottom, you were out. And the reason you were out is because they wanted to bring people in who wanted to be successful. We're not GE, right? However, when people in our business aren't doing their job, I mean, I can be fired from my job. My partners have the right to fire me as an employee of the business because of the job that I do. I live my life like that. So if I have to do my job every day and support KPIs and bring revenue and bring...
But isn't that true that as a business owner, I think we have responsibilities too, that we share the crisis with our staff.
Transparency.
Transparency. And some owners, some business owners, they don't do it. And I think we owe it to our people to explain to them why we do what we do at that moment in the crisis. You can't just go to somebody's cubic or desk and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you go because we're not in a good financial situation. The reason I'm saying is this. They might have some idea to help us and get us out of the hole.
Well done. Well
done. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes employees do that. I ran it with my staff. They said, how about you cut my salary, put me in the other position, I can get these two done and still be here.
And that's important. So you talked about courage, right? You talked about vulnerability. You talked about we're so close to it, you and I, because I'm not going to say at the top of the food chain. I turn the funnel upside down. We're usually at the bottom, right? Shit rolls downhill. It's all ours. And we're so close to it. That's what we do as a coach. But your employees, some of your employees have the greatest ideas because they're thinking completely out of the box. They're like, they may not know all the stuff that you and I know. They may not know the financial prowess. Yes. They may not know the legal, accounting ramifications, but they might just throw something out there that's like, oh, I didn't even think of it like that because we're too close to it. So yeah.
That's what you told me, that when you get close to it, let other people in and ask for help. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Because guess what? None of us are as smart as all of us combined.
Ask for help, folks.
Absolutely. Ask for help. Ask for just guidance. And look, here's the deal. If you don't want guidance, don't ask. Look, I love people that ask for guidance. I love it.
But if you're not going to do it, nobody's going to help you.
Then they don't do it, and then they blame you. Well, I tried it. You tried what?
Yep.
What's the process? What are we supposed to be doing? Our coach, holy crap, man, he pulls no punches. And it's some of the greatest teachings. You know, one last couple weeks ago was, I'd rather be rich than look rich. And he goes, I'd rather be rich than right. That one to me, that was several months ago. And I was like, wow. He goes, no, seriously. So many owners get caught up in the crisis. Like, you know, we posture and we have to know everything. Well, maybe in the 70s we needed that.
Not right now.
No, right now people around you have great intel. And yeah, if they start being a doubter and a puker and they start pissed, if they start dogpiling, which I is like, oh, you're having this problem? Well, I can understand it. Oh, that sucks. Business is hard. And you shouldn't do it. You should just quit. Excuse me. And you walk the other way because they're immediately not in the right place. But if you go to your team and your team's like, they're commiserating. Well, first it's because they're shocked, right? Like, holy shit. Okay. But then you bring them together and go, okay, let's talk about it. Here's what I envision. Here's the challenges we faced. What do we need to do next? What do you guys see that I don't? I'm not promising we're going to do it.
That's so important.
Yeah, you just write it down.
Said it, yeah.
I mean, you've got a great team here. They're young. They're smart.
And sometimes I don't see the stuff that they see it, and they bring it to my attention and say, oh, let's do it. Let's make it happen, because they have the different vision. They see everything differently and out of the box that sometimes I don't see it.
Right. Well, even take yourself out of your own thing that happened. When we're not in crisis, we're completely different.
Basically, look at it from outside.
Yeah, you take yourself out of it. You know what? I remember that question I asked you. What would you go back and tell your 25-year-old self?
Yep.
Well, pull yourself out of any problem that you're having. Objectively go and ask somebody else the question that you should be asking yourself and have them give you the answer. I mean, it's so interesting. Yesterday, I was coaching with my business partner. We were coaching each other, and he asked me a question, and it gave me an answer to a question that I had. I'm like, oh, thank you. He's like, what in the? I'm like, he goes, use your words. So but when we ask somebody else, team member, employee, when we ask them a question that we should be asking ourselves, all of a sudden the brain goes, maybe you ought to do it. And then the answer comes to you. So I was writing the answer down. But it releases something in the brain to be open to BFO, right? Blinding flash of the obvious. An old memory connected with a new one that makes a connection that goes, oh, here's the answer. We just have to be open to that. And there's so many people that aren't.
And then, if the company in the crisis, financially, culture-wise, I think they're all in it together, the whole company. You can't just say as a leader, as a CEO, yeah, they make some bad decision, but at the end of the day, we're all in it together.
Oh,
and then we need to discuss that and talk about it and, be transparent and see the best solution.
Absolutely. So let's take you out of your little mishap last week, and let's take you to today, Rami, the business owner, multiple business owners, and let's time travel to COVID.
Wow.
Am I going to get in trouble for saying that too? All right, just checking. I don't want to go against any government plans, but go back to COVID. You ran a restaurant for how many years?
That's 10, 11 years. Yeah.
Right. So when COVID hit, you weren't in the restaurant business.
No, I wasn't.
Right. So.
And I felt for those people.
Exactly. Because.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but so think about that right now. Hindsight's always 20/20. Let's set the table. COVID sets in. Everything's shut down. All the restaurants, all the bars, everything's shut down for, was it 45 days completely, or 2 months?
2 months.
Great. Looking at hindsight, that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem for all business owners. Here's the question. What would you say would be the greatest challenge that those business owners faced at that 60-day mark?
Pay their dues and especially the fixed cost.
Yeah. All right. So they had to pay that. So that's in the past. Now, what's their biggest problem moving forward?
How are they going to catch up?
Right. But what else?
What do you think?
How are they going to serve the people that want to be served? That was the number one challenge that we saw that they faced was
basically you telling me the adaptation.
Yeah, the word that everybody hates now is pivot, right?
Yeah,
we got to pivot.
Yeah.
Everybody hates
How
that.
are you going to pivot with
Right.
new circumstances?
Yeah, exactly.
They have to adapt to the new things, new
Yeah.
technology, curbside delivery or whatever. No touch or a hand or
Yeah.
whatever. It was tough because it was something new.
Exactly. The challenge that you've just gone through, the challenges that I've gone through over the last 25 years of owning businesses.
It's constant adaptation.
Yeah, that's it right there. You just hit it right on the head. So define for all of our listeners out there, what does adaptation mean to you?
Is for me, actually, be honest with you, is study my current situation every day, not every week. From the moment that I talked to you last week and I said, this is what's going to happen. I want to look at the data every day. I want to see where I'm going to cut, and I want to see where I can fix and how I can turn this ship around. And that's adaptation to me, that you constantly going to adapt. Okay, artificial intelligence, what can we help with that? Can we use it as a co-pilot? How about my network? Let me reach out to my network, to my CEO friends. Let's see this, because we lost one of our biggest clients. And I'm saying it publicly. Everything happens. The biggest clients we lost, and it wasn't their fault. It was just a new politics in their whole thing. But I said, okay, what do we have to do? Okay, that was a big chunk of our business, but you can't just rely on your biggest clients. How about you building a new thing? You build a new program. You got to adapt to this new things that is going on and learn it. Maybe it's gonna work. And we did a couple of tests and it worked. That's, I think, is an adaptation. Be open to welcome new things and learn and go forward, not to stay still. Because if you stay still, you're eventually gonna die.
Oh, Brad Sugars, one of my mentors, he always talks about in business, you're either moving forward or you're dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Period. He doesn't pull any punches. Can I get in trouble for that too? Okay, just checking. What's it called? Shadow
band? No,
shadow
we
banding.
don't
Okay,
wanna
I've
be
been,
shadow.
I'm learning a bunch about this because my language, apparently, the unfiltered naked truth,
Yeah.
gets me in trouble. Okay, so I digress a minute. All right, define for the team that's listening here today, because I think this is one of your most endearing attributes, and I mean that wholeheartedly. As my friend, as my
Thank
colleague,
you.
define tenacity.
Huh.
You full of it. So I just want you to define it for everybody else.
It's just at the end of the day, it's all be willing to deal with what you really is in front of you. It's just really, it's like that. Mm-hmm. You got to be willing to deal with what you know is true, but you don't want to see it as true. Like you really, it's sometimes it's hard. Like, I know, for example, I know I'm fat, but it's telling myself, I'm serious, I'm not fat, but I'm just saying that, for example.
I'm sorry, it's called fluffy now.
Fluffy.
Fluffy, okay, let's use the better words. I'm 54
I know.
and double pudgy. You can be fluffy.
We can be fluffy, but you got to be honest with yourself and have the, that courage. Courage.
There you go.
You got to have a courage to face the unpleasant reality that it hurts. It really hurts. Like sometimes the pain, the pain is a pain, but we have two options: to use the pain and dwell and kick ourselves in the rear end, or to use that pain as a fuel for the future.
There you go.
That's what I'm doing today. I use the pain for the fuel for the future, but I can just sit down here and just dwell on it because, believe it or not, you're gonna listen. I made $100,000 a mistake 3 months ago.
I made a $2 million mistake. Okay.
Cost me $100,000. Bam, like that. And I can just sit here and say, "Oh my God, I lost the big clients. How about if I could?" I can go on and on and on and just, I'm not gonna change. I can't go back. But if I have a courage to face my real time, what I'm actually in it right now, that I picked up the phone and I called Andy and I say, I need help. What should I do? I have these options. What do you suggest? That's courage.
Right. So I love that. And so, folks, I mean, really seriously, there are so many people in the world today that when they're faced with adversity,
Oh God.
they quit. You right there, you quit. You quit relationships, you quit your job, you quit your marriage, you quit your partnership, you quit, you name it. I quit the diet. If I could take tenacity, your tenacity, I would bottle it and I would force feed it to half the world, because there's so many people out there and they're going to comment, "Oh, we're this, we're that, the other thing." But the fact is, you're a quitter. You live in your mom's basement, typing on a keyboard. You're afraid to face real risk. So, well done. Keep the fight up, right? Keep the fight up. So, when you look at tenacity in crisis, tenacity, facing it forward, right? Persistent, coming back every day. I'm trying to get us up on YouTube, but we gotta face it every day, because again, every day is not a bad day. Every day is just a day. Like, okay, what did I do yesterday? How do I tweak, modify, or change what I did yesterday to get a different result now? That's what crisis is.
You know about that philosophy, Kaizen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Never-ending improvement.
Never-ending improvement. Dr. Edward Deming brought it from Japan to United States in manufacture of the vehicles, and with the Ford, I think so. But I love the philosophy, as you just said, never-ending improvement, constant improvement.
Yes.
You have to every day do something. Every day you got to do something, because it's not going to be finished. It's not just like I'm going to create final product. Here you go. Business is not like that. it's the constant and never-ending improvement. Like you got to go break by break every day, break by break. And sometimes you drop a break and it's going to break.
Sometimes you got to go back to the very foundational beliefs that you have, and you got to patch the cracks.
Yep, you're absolutely right. But when you said people, you're in the basement, you give up, you didn't mean like, hey, you're a loser. No, you're not. I can tell you right now, whatever goes in your mind, we just telling you that you can do better. You can do much better. You can do great things with your life, with your business, whatever is going in your mind. You just need to face the reality and step back and say, what can I do today?
That's all you can do. And, I give people a lot of shit here. Like, look, I'm going to give you crap. You don't like it, don't listen.
But it's a reality.
But I tell this same shit to my own kids. Not because I'm a horrible parent, because I know that they, you, me, you guys out there, there's always more we can do.
Oh, absolutely. We are powerful beyond our imagination. We can do so much.
Yeah, and that's what crisis is we all go through it. We all go through it. We all sit here and blame. There are people out there that blame their circumstances on their family life, their race, their relationships, their whatever it is, right? I don't live in their shoes, right? I'll be called a lot of things for saying that. But I look at that differently. Again, I look at it as I have choices to make, right? I have to make choices. You had to make a bunch of choices last week. I had to make a bunch of choices 10 years ago, right? I had to make a bunch of choices because I fucked up.
I'm going to a situation right now with the family. Like my father is on his way out, and I told you that he's almost 85 years old, but I had a tough time to accept that. Very tough time. I talk to him every day, FaceTiming him and all that stuff, went visit with him, but I came to realization that we're all gonna go. And I want to help him to live his current time the way he can, to have a very pleasant exit. Because I believe that death is not termination, it's transition. It's a transition. We're all gonna die. And it was for me very hard again, go back to facing the reality that he's gonna go, dude.
Yeah.
He's gonna go and you have to accept it.
And I know from going through that with my own family, I'm with you. I'm hugs and loves, because that is tough when we lose anybody like that. But
it's tough. And when it comes to the business, you said it's a crisis. It's not a life and death, but some people, they are very attached to their business. It's their baby.
Okay, so let's touch on that for 1 second.
Really?
Oh, that's a great point. So
There's nobody without it. No. I know a couple of them.
Well, and let's just talk about that for a second. It's very personal.
Yep.
So we are humans.
Absolutely.
We have feelings, we have emotions, we bleed, we cry, we get angry, we have all of these emotions. Our businesses do not have any of those things. None of them. It is an entity. It is a straight up entity. However, that being said, I'll use like my dad. My dad, that's all he knew was the moving business. That's all he knew. It's and it's funny that we will talk about this. So last week I was in Iowa. I was able to spend some time with my dad. I took my dad to a bar.
Yeah, you told me that.
He hadn't been there in 40 years. For those of you that are listening, Ransoms, you guys rock. $3 tall boys. I haven't been a $3 tall boy in years, but we went there. And so I'm with my dad, and he's like hadn't been there in 40 years. But we walked in, and what was so intriguing to me is my dad knew everybody in there. They were friends and colleagues while he was in business that didn't give a shit about anything other than my dad walked in the building. Wow. That was it. So we're sitting, we sat at the bar. All of a sudden, these guys are all buying us beers. I'm like, holy shit, we're never leaving, right? So fast forward, I was talking to my dad about all the ways I pissed him off when I was working for him. But we were also talking about how it was really hard for him when he got out of the business because it's all he knew.
All he knew.
All he knew. Now, I'm going to paraphrase here because he didn't elaborate on this because my dad talks about feelings as much as this tabletop does. True story. My sister makes fun of it, but he doesn't talk feelings. We didn't do that in our family. But I know living through that time with him, I think the hardest transition was what was he going to do every day? Because it's part of what we do. Yeah. Right, because we don't, like, this is what we know. This is what's easy. So in that aspect of a business and a human, we do what's easiest. We always revert back to what our muscle memory, our eating habits, our drinking habits, our work habits are. So tying this all back together with crisis, for him, it was a life change for him. It was a total life change. For you, it was a modification of what you were doing to do something differently. It's just a modification because you're 50 some years old, you're running a successful business, you hit a bump in the road. Okay, we're here. For all of us, when they get tied to our business, that's what the biggest thing is. It's fear. It's absolute fear.
Fear of acceptance.
Yeah, fear of acceptance, fear of loss, fear of what you're going to say about me and my business. That is what I've seen over and over. Because, whoever you believe in, the Almighty, God, you name it, whatever it is, we are going to exit our business one way or another.
Absolutely.
By choice of selling it, losing it, or by death. I choose to look at it as, yes, we have to make modifications in our business. A crisis, for those of you out there listening, does not define you. It doesn't define you as a person. It doesn't define you as a business person. It just defines the fact that you needed to learn a lesson. And you said that to me today. You're like, I don't know who's talking to me, but somebody's sending me all of this information because you're open to it.
Yes, and I believe that as soon as you open your heart and mind to others and universe, and you be honest and put that message out there, not loud to go out there and say, hey, but if you just transfer that message, things is happening. People knocking, people calling, people that say, how can I help you? I don't know what it is in universe, but I believe that what you put out there is what you get. You put negative and all the bad stuff that's happening right now, crisis in the business and life, you're going to get more of that.
Yep.
And if you think about good stuff, you're going to get more of that too.
And that's the manifestation, right? That's the manifestation of you manifest what you want. I call them I am statements. I use them all the time because I'm idealization, visualization, verbalization, manifestation.
Yeah, yesterday
I think it, I see it, I say it, I have it.
Yesterday I was telling myself that, okay, this bump or road bump happened. And then I said, how about if you're going to go from Austin to Dallas, Texas? There's other way to do that too. It's not only a straight shot from I-35. Oh, really? I can take a county road, for example, 242. I can take the other county road. There's so many ways to get to Dallas. Yes, it's not a highway. It's a county road. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, but a little bit longer. But it's going to get me to Dallas.
And would you quit going on vacation?
No. That's what I thought. That's what I said. Oh, here you go. This is your answer. Because you only one way to get to Dallas, you're going to give up? No, you can go to the county road. That's what I called you. Hey, do you know any other roads? And Andy said, yeah, county road 242, but it's a little bit, bumpy, but you got to get enough gas. You got to be open. And I said, let's head the road, baby.
And you just paid the dreaded dumb tax. You ever heard of that?
No. What is that? I'm an immigrant, man. I'm a foreigner.
No, it's just a saying.
You have so many slangs.
I have so many slangs. That's why sometimes it has to translate it. When we make a mistake, it's just the dreaded dumb tax, right? Every one of us has paid the dumb tax, right? We've all done it. A mistake is just that. I made a mistake. It cost me money. Just don't make the same fucking mistake again, right? Sorry. You're going to have to bleep that one out. But it's the dreaded dumb tax. We just have to pay it on occasion. It's the only way we get better. It's the only way. All of us, every one of us, have paid a dumb tax. If you haven't paid a dumb tax, you're not really in business. And it's a learn. It is just learning.
Man, these past 2 weeks, I learned so much.
Not that you wanted to.
No, yeah, but, being in business for almost 30 years, but it's still, I still learn. Every day I'm learning something new. It's amazing that this is never-ending thing. You always going to learn if you're in business for yourself, being an entrepreneur and, all that stuff. It is just everyday learning.
Oh, and I honestly, do I love it? No. There are some days that I dislike learning because it comes up and kicks me right in the nuts. But there's other days I'm just like, oh, that's what it is. When you surround yourself with good people, there should never be judgment, guilt, or shame. It really
helps, man. I'm telling you, folks, you're listening, you're watching, people that you hang around with is so important. If they are good, they are a potion. If they are bad, they are poison.
Oh, that's a good one.
I swear to God, it's bad. It's bad. If you're going to put more fuel on your fire, or they're going to help you to put it out. It's, or sometimes they piss on your
leg.
Yeah.
Like, you're not on fire? Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's just, people are so important, who you interact with, who you call for help. But at the end of the day, you got to ask for your help. You got to ask for help. We cannot do everything alone. And I know that sometimes our ego gets in the way, but we are who we are, and we all need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not perfect.
What?
I'm not.
You told me you were.
Hell no.
Your team tells me you are.
Hell no. I'm the first
I know
person
my
to
team.
ask them for help.
I know. I would always say, I used to tell everybody that I get up in the morning and I had this giant S on my chest and I'm the most important person in the world. And then I used to talk to my kids and my wife, and I was just dad.
And the next thing is that when you call somebody or ask for help, you feel much lighter.
And the ones that want to help will call you back. You should feel, because you have released the negative mind. You have released.
Be honest with you, I was so hesitant to call you.
I know.
And it took me a little bit longer than I expected it. But I said, "What the heck you doing, dude?
Yeah,
you got to call him. He's your action coach, and he's your business coach too. He's besides being your friend." And I said, "You should discuss it with him. Maybe he's got a better idea." And as soon as I did that, bam, and we came up with the idea. You took action. You hold me accountable. That's, guys, is so important. You got to call somebody, not just for calling. That person, whoever it is, they have to be able to hold you accountable.
And remember, no shame, no guilt, no judgment. Because, again, you talk about $100,000 mistake. I very freshly still have from 14 years ago, a $2 million mistake. So I give nobody judgment and guilt, because it's like,
we all have it. I talked to another friend. Right now, he's got $100 million of problem.
Oh,
exactly 115.
You should introduce us.
Yeah, it's just they all have something, and you might watch this. You got a $5,000 of problem.
You may have a $500 problem.
$500 problem. The problem is a problem, but how can we do to solve it?
Because everybody's circumstances are different.
Yep.
So, I know we've talked about it. So we learned some new things today as we're going through this. It's all new to me. So we know you can't comment on the podcast, right? So, but you can comment in YouTube.
In YouTube, you can comment on the YouTube, but for the podcast, for Apple Podcasts and Google and all that stuff, you can put a review. You can write a review. But for YouTube, you guys, you can write your comment and tell us how we do.
Yeah, and
and we try to be more polite.
Yeah, we're going to be more
polite. We don't
polite.
want to be shadow banned again.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. But apparently when you say the bleep word over and over again in the unfiltered naked truth.
It's an AI thing. It's not human doing it. It's an AI is actually basically scanning our words, and it says, "Oh, I saw this. Let's."
We did use it like 40 times.
I know we did that.
But here and to tie that one off, look. Here's the deal. You're right. We've been deleting all the we're racist and we don't do this and that, we're going to delete them. Look, I told you that in the beginning. We're not going to tolerate it. If you want to have some constructive debates, we're here for you. I was called by a couple of people that would love us next time to talk about family businesses and talk about boundaries.
I had that too. Right?
Yep. So and friends in business, we'll talk about that. If you have a subject or a subject that you're struggling with, and you know, send it in. Blake's watching those all the time. He'll get it to us, and we'll start bringing it forward. We're also going to start having guests on this.
Oh yeah, next episode we're going to have a guest here.
Yeah, so
it's a surprise. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It'll be fun, and I'm pretty confident they'll hold our feet to the fire, which scares me a bit.
The whole purpose of this podcast, Unfiltered Naked Truth, is telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Good or bad. I use myself as an example.
And that's very brave and courageous.
I do that. I'm vulnerable. And we're going to talk about the reality, not fake stuff. We're going to say what it is that we are suffering from, the pain and suffering. And how can we help other people? Vice versa. How can you guys help us too? Write your comment.
Yeah.
We read it. Maybe you have an idea. You never know. Maybe you just tell us, hey, guys, can you talk about this? This is a much better, attractive subject. If you do, we do that too. Just let us know.
Yeah, and you know, the rule of thumb is there's really no dumb question.
No,
unless you don't ask it. They're just dumb people.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's another coachism, right?
Yeah. He's joking, but we're all good. We all make mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how many have I made on this podcast?
Oh, we made a lot of mistakes, man. I'm making mistakes every day, and if I don't make it today, I give myself a point for the next day, which is I have 2 now.
+1?
+1.
Perfect.
But this was amazing.
It was. I'm glad we did this.
Talking about crisis, that's fantastic.
It really is. And thank you for so much for being the guinea pig, but also being vulnerable, courageous, and being honest with people that life is not. There's so many of these podcasts that are out there, and it's all unicorns and rainbows. No, and the reality of life in business is not unicorns and rainbows.
Life is not sunshine and rainbows all the time. I see so many people, like I can hear a lot of people, they have everything, but they are miserable. You know, it's what you plant is what you get.
Excellent. All right, so who's our title sponsor for today, Rami?
Title sponsor, Black Ops Agency. If you need anything, guys, Black Ops Agency is here to help you, from marketing, branding, voice, web dev, video production, audio engineering. They're doing a fantastic job, this team here, and they can really help you out. Just reach out to Black Ops Agency. You go check their website, and they're good people.
And this is where our podcast studio is. Their podcast studio is, not mine. And there's actually a couple more in this building. Yep. So if you want to professionally run podcast, give them a call. You won't regret it.
Until next time, this is Rami, and this is Andy.
See you guys.
That was good.
That was good. Fucking hey, you were awesome.
That was good, man.